To Two Off the Tee Fantasy Six Packs Golf Gambling and DFS Show. I am your host, Keith Flemming. Very happy, and I'm sure anybody that watches us is very happy to have my man Alan, aka at Actively Lazy 85, back this week, because last week I know it's my favorite situation, but probably people don't like hearing it. They got 30 minutes of me just talking straight.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, man. March Madness is upon us. I'm fortunate to have a station that represents a program that won both the men's and women's conference champion or regular season championship, and then we had to get set up for the city hosting the women's conference championship. So it was just busy, and it's going to keep getting busier. I got a guy in DC, a guy in Brooklyn, and then I'm holding it down in Richmond, essentially with the staff of 3 by myself because I sent the other 2 guys out. So it's going to be hectic this week too, but I'm here and I'm ready.
All right. So obviously we're here to talk about the quote unquote 5th major, the Players Championship. But before we get into that, just want to talk for a minute about, Scottie Scheffler learned how to putt, or at least it appeared like that last week. With the putter change, how much do you just think that was a hot week with the putter? How much do you think it's mental confidence and maybe now he has a lot more, obviously, moving forward? Or do you think that it's going to kind of end up being an outlier in a month where we're going, well, that one week he putted really well?
Yeah, I mean, I have to go with logic. And to me, logically,
that's no fun.
We need more evidence before we can say it's a fact, especially when we've had, I don't know, 10, 11 tournaments of Scottie with the yips, and then we've got this one tournament where it all came together. Now, obviously, if it all comes together again, he's virtually unbeatable in today's game of golf. If it all comes together, he's the best golfer in the world. And that's what we saw last week. And, again, I think it's cliche, but time will tell. And it will tell starting Thursday, actually, if he is indeed back. Because he's a guy that he'll start quick. He'll go 10, 11 under in the first round like it's nothing. So if he's on and we see that in the first round, then yes, we're all in trouble if we didn't bet Scottie.
Yes, we are. And I think the tour needs somebody to be that dominant figure right now. Because that's fair. That's fair. But don't you agree that if somebody could have a real dominant stretch where they win a bunch and are constantly in contention, then it's going to get people watching either to root for or against said guy dominating the game. And obviously right now golf, professional golf is struggling. They need to figure this live PGA shit out sooner rather than later, because to me, week to week, the PGA events are feeling less and less important. The live events from the get-go to me have not felt important. And so I don't think it's good for the sport to have basically 4 weeks that everybody looks forward to when it's a full year sport.
It's not good for the sport, especially when they depend on advertisements and investors and sponsors. I've grown to like what I've seen on the PGA with some of these young guys, like Jake Knapp, Not that he came out of nowhere, but he's given an opportunity to perform.
Kind of has, though. 29, right? Like a late bloomer. Got a ton of talent. No, I agree.
And sorry, having some mic issues here. There we go.
Hot mic.
and so I'm it's growing on me. I would obviously love to see everybody back together. I want to see the best golfers in the world. When we're capping, it makes it better, makes it more fun to see the best golfers in the world. I mean, if we had a full field, let's say Live doesn't exist or PGA doesn't exist, but all the best golfers in the world are playing right now, Scottie Scheffler is probably coming to us at 12-1, not 5-1, and that matters because we're getting him kind of hot on the run. And who knows, he might get even better, show us different things because he's getting challenged every week by guys who are just as good in other aspects of the game. So I think America's full of haters. I'm one included sometimes. And so we need people. Yeah, we need people to win. We need people to dominate. We need dynasties and somebody to hate per se, because that gets people to watch, whether you're rooting for or against. mainstream crossovers typically happen when you have a dynasty.
Completely agree. I think it's a great point. All right. This week, Players Championship. I know I kind of mockingly said it's the fifth major just because, I mean, if there was a fifth major, I think it's fair to say this would be that event, but there's not. There's four. So why don't we just call it the most important non-major event? Like to me, that logically would make more sense.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to argue with that.
Yeah, I mean, all right. So, everybody should know this event. This is one of the ones that I think even casual fans kind of know this course. This course was built specifically to be this event, the Players Championship. It's called the Stadium Course at TPC Sawgrass. Water hazards on 17 of 18 holes, so it's not a real fun course for non-professionals to play. It has thick rough, not that easy to hit it in the fairway. You got really tricky bunkers and lies around the greens that included, again, significant rough that make it very difficult for players to scramble because these are, big undulated greens. There's not really a lot of stats I looked into nearly as much as I did recent winter trends because go ahead.
There's so many weather variances historically. It's hard to, this is a course like this week is hard to be like, well, in 2022 or in 2019, like, because again, I check the weather because, we think Florida swing, we think wind and maybe some rain or something, but like it looks like a perfect weekend for golf and it's not a lot of wind. So we could get something that's relatively high scoring, but then I saw that they let the rough grow 1.5 inches or something like that.
Yep.
So, and you're gonna end up in it one way or another. So, again, as much as we've seen this event, I want to say each year there's always something different that keeps it difficult to use historical data per se to cap. So you kind of have to cap based on skill set and the way they design it, it's not really for bombers. It's not against them either, but you kind of have to have skill to win the Players. Basically,
approach, ball striking, and strokes gained around the green. To me, those are the three ones that we know for a fact just from correlation and seeing the people that have won. Typically, you need to be near the top of the field in those three categories to be in contention or have a chance to win. A couple of quick trends that are really important you should pay attention. One, this venue, don't look past 2019, okay? Because remember, this event was in May for, I think it was like 15, 16 years. And then in 2019, they moved it to March. There's two big things that happen when that. A, not nearly firm and fast, right? Because it's not as warm. And they overseed the fairways, tee boxes, etc., which typically makes a course softer. When it was in May, they did not do that. Not a coincidence, and since 2019, scores have been much lower at this event than what they were the 15 years previous when this event was held in May. So definitely, I'm not saying because bogey avoidance is still very important. It is. It's a big stat here, but I do think that par 5 scoring is almost what I'm looking at more than anything because we saw this at the Cognizant Classic, another event, a lot of water, but no wind for 4 days, relatively soft conditions. These guys are really freaking good. And when you have 4 par 5s that they can reach into, which like the Cognizant, same deal here, you need to eat those par 5s. The other thing that to me was just fascinating, I think I said this to you early, 14 of the last 16 winners went AM, PM for their wave, meaning they teed off early Thursday, late Friday. That is a significant stat, right? When you're talking 14 of the last 16 winners went early, late Thursday, Friday, that is something I would really pay attention to and potentially suggest building some DFS lineups going heavy on that wave.
Yeah, that's a healthy trend. I saw somebody else mention that on one of the DFS sites. I mean, for DFS, I think it matters a whole lot because you need the totality of the score. Right. For gambling,
maybe your bets to win, something to consider.
Yeah, a trend is a trend. If you can catch somebody that you think has pretty high odds and take a chance on that kind of trend, I would suggest it as well. One thing I've noticed too is that has been a lot of shocking wins. Like it's like usually the guys who win are people we expect to win these type of events. So I even capped it where I didn't go too crazy on the odds in my top 5 guys. And that's probably something DFS wise you guys should keep in mind too, is that if you're going to anchor your lineups, you might want to look to anchor with some top tier guys and not take a chance on these lineups where you have guys that are like starting at 8,000 or something like that. In other events, which we could get away with, and like a major. Sometimes I think we do that in certain majors. We don't start the lineup with a 10K guy or 11K guy. We go, oh well, we got Tyrell Hatton at 8,300, and he's got the same skill set as John Rahm to a degree, and we'll just stack it this way so we can get more out of the lineup. I think this week is a week where you could, if you like Roy, throw him in there, man. Anchor it and do your thing.
Man, and see, you think you can't do DFS
I
golf?
don't
Give
like
me
DFS.
A break. That was great.
I'm so bad at it.
You just haven't done it enough. When I get to the DFS plays, you're going to see that I 100% agree with what you just said. Just some other real quick trends, because I think, again, they're significant, especially when picking winners, which hopefully we're going to give a winner this week because it's been a few weeks. 16 of the last 17 winners finished 23rd or better in their previous Players' Championship appearance. 19 of the last 20 winners were ranked inside the top 45 in the official World Golf ranking. That was what Alan was getting to about, don't get too crazy with these long shots this week. This is not, I don't think, the week for it. 11 of the last 12 finished 22nd or better in the start leading into that year's Players' Championship. 12 of the last 13 winners played in at least 5 Players' Championships. And this is a course that typically players have to play it a good bit to really learn it. So that's not that surprising. This is the one to me, again, where I really leaned into strokes gained around the green. 10 of the last 12 were top 45 in strokes gained around the green the year of their victory. And then this one is really important because 4 of these 5 winners have been on the venue under the current conditions they're going to have this week, playing in March, not May. We've had 5 straight winners that came into that event, the players, gaining 1.5 strokes or more per round on the field for the 4 months heading into the Players. There are only 3 guys in this field that qualify that. Obviously, we got Scottie Scheffler at 2.28 strokes. Do you know the other 2? Because one of them is your boy.
Yeah. My boy, I guess it'd be Xander.
Yep. Xander is one of them at 1.5.
Actually, if anybody's wondering, I was just writing them down to add them to my list. I've been going back and forth, and I was like, you know what? Because, again, it's hard to bet these guys when you used to get them at such, like, juicy odds. But, like, I was looking, I was like, it's about time for me to come back around. It's not like I don't like them. But Xander, and then you said there's a third guy?
Yeah, think about somebody who won kind of surprisingly, then followed up with a runner-up. He's French. Matthew Pavon.
Yeah, Pavon, yeah.
So, and again, I probably butchered that name, but so those are 3 guys you should look long and hard at. Obviously, Scheffler at his odds, we're never going to recommend betting somebody at plus 550, but we will recommend if he gets off to a slow start on Thursday, or say he's in the afternoon wave and somebody goes deep in the morning, I would constantly be checking those live odds. If he gets to 10 to 12 to 1 and he's within 5-6 shots of the lead, I would take my chances with that with the way he's played. One of the best bets I've had in the last year was when Scheffler was 5 shots back, 7 holes into the Hero. I got him at 14 to 1, and that was the easiest money I've ever won. He started the tournament, I think, at like plus 500 to win. So the DraftKings plays this week. I apologize. My article will be up by sometime tomorrow morning. I'm finishing up literally as we speak, but I will just go through my DK plays, and you can obviously have the detail to read the article on fantasy6pack.net. So I do cash lineups. That's either 50-50 or single entries. I believe if you consistently want to make a profit, it's a much easier way to do it. If you want to do big events, that's great. It's kind of like playing a lottery in a lot of ways. So we had this saying that Dave Eddy gave me on Fantasy Six Pack, great Dave Eddy of DFS football, that there's 3 constants in life during football season: death, taxes, and playing CMC and cash games. I think we could say that now for Scottie Scheffler in golf. It's death, taxes, and playing Scottie Scheffler and cash gains for golf. So I'm going to anchor my official lineup with Scottie Scheffler. Yes, he's almost $13,000. Does that suck? Absolutely. His worst finish this year is 17th. He now has 2 wins in 6 events. He's got 4 top 6 finishes in those 6 events and 5 top 10. So he's coming to a course he's won at. If he putts well again this week, he's probably going to win. The next guy for me, Jason Day in the lineup, 8,900. Day has a good track record here. I like that the course plays a little softer, which means it's more likely he kind of gets over his one bugaboo, which is getting the ball in the fairway. He's elite around the greens and on them. Day is currently 9th in strokes gained around the greens, which, again, that's a big stat for me. 2 unbelievable values this week. Minwoo Lee, 8K. He came here last year in his first ever start here, first time ever playing it, finished 6th, and ball struck this course to death. Over 1 stroke gained on the field, tee to green, on approach, and ball striking. He does that again, he will be in contention again. I like he's also going very early in the morning. Tom Hoge, 7,800. Probably the best value this week, 7,800. Has a great track record here since the venue has swapped to the later schedule. 4 straight top 33 finishes. Last year, he finished 3rd here. He's having a great season. He leads the tour in strokes gained on approach. There's a million reasons to like Hoge. I think he's a real discount, and he's not somebody that's owned a lot, even, with it being a single entry. I still feel like you'll gain some on that. Doug Gim, 6,800, has played well here 2 of the last 3 years. Last year, he missed the cut. 2 previous years, he's finished top 30. I think he finished like 5th the year before that. He is having an unbelievable year. He has finished 16th or better in his last 4 events, 3 of them being signature events. So with, obviously deeper fields or better players in the field, I should say. And he does a lot of the stuff that you love. He's like 2nd on tour in strokes gained, tee to green. He does really well in par 5 scoring. He's good at bogey avoidance, and he's putted well here all 3 years, which is kind of one of his big bugaboos. So I think that Gim's a good play. And then obviously if you play Scheffler, you got to get really cheap. But there's a few options I like down in this range. For this lineup, I went with Chasen Hadley, 5,800. Another guy that really good iron player, great at bogey avoidance, great putter, and he's played these difficult courses well. He's got 3 top 35 finishes in the last 4 starts, 2 of them being 2 of the tougher venues they're going to play all season. And I just think that in a 140-man field, which we ain't had many of these, there's a good chance he makes a cut. Just 4 other options I really like really quickly is Hideki at 9,800, Sam Burns at 9,200, and then the disrespect to my boy Matthew Pavin, 6,700 this week. He will be in numerous lineups for me. He is 2nd in total strokes gained on tour, and I think Alan mentioned this last time I got together 2 weeks ago. He was like top 5 in both strokes gained around the green, strokes gained putting at time. I think he's fell off a little bit, but he's still top 30 in both of them. And then Brandon Todd, who is horse for courses. This is the kind of course that Brandon Todd excels at because you don't really need to do anything fancy, and that is Brandon Todd's game. He hits a lot of fairways. He hits a lot of greens. He's got a good short game, doesn't make big numbers, doesn't hit it in the water. I think at 6,500, he's a really safe pick to make the cut, so that's a good value there too. You got anything you want to add on the DFS plays before we get into the betting board?
No, I'm looking through some stuff, but I was gonna say, there's a lot of names down there, like our Frenchmen, where we've taken them. Jake Knapp is another one.
Yep.
Like we've taken them throughout the year. They're playing good golf. Now I want to make sure I say his name right. And Pavan's I think the last couple courses on the East Coast, he's struggled with a little bit. He
had an 80 Sunday, which that was really the deal.
I was going to say Jake Knapp had the same thing happen to him. I just think it's just a variance. They just had one bad round that's really kind of thrown them off. Other than that, if you look, they've been at least above good, average. Yeah. In that particular tournament where they struggled in, they were still consistently above average. The key is obviously to stay out of the water. But even Eric Van Rooyen, another guy that on this Florida swing has been playing some good golf, you're getting him at some crazy odds. So, a lot of times that translates to DFS to low ownership and low value on the money. definitely take your chances if you're anchoring with these top guys on people that you've seen consistent on this Florida swing. And I'll throw Billy Horschel's name out there again. He's a good Florida guy.
Yep.
Maybe not the best.
Not a great track record here,
yeah,
but I do like him in Florida. And, there's a lot of things that going for him. He's playing well.
Yeah. And the weather's not really a factor in this one. So guys who are comfortable with Florida in general, Florida courses, they're all relatively similar in some aspects. So I think he'll be comfortable. I think he'll have a good one again this weekend.
And I appreciate Dave Eddy coming in. Apparently, it's like Beetlejuice. I said Dave Eddy's name twice, talking about Death Taxes CMC, and now it's Death Taxes Scottie Scheffler and cash gains for DFS. And there he is. And not only that, coming with a compliment. So, I love that. Getting to the betting board, it really is a bummer that Scheffler did what he did last week, because this is already a course that is built for Scheffler's game. Scheffler is one of the best players on tour around the greens, which, again, strokes gained around the greens has been a staple. He's 8th right now on tour in that. He's first in total strokes gained. He's first in strokes gained tee to green. He's second in strokes gained on approach. He's first in birdie average. I mean, it's ridiculous at this point. The only reason he had not had more success, which, again, I want to remind people, he had 4 top 6 finishes and 6 starts and a win. I'll be sure to send that to you any minute, Dave. But then he, the putter gets hot. He gained almost 5 strokes on the field. Number 1 in the field last week at Bay Hill. It was almost 5 full shots better than his season average. And the only reason it concerns me is that, again, he changed from a blade to a mallet, and a lot of his issues was he seemed to be pushing and pulling putts. I don't want to get too technical, but a mallet putter just helps you keep the putter face more square at all times, and that leads to you getting more putts started where you want to. And it's just sickening that he's plus 550, so I can't bet him at that odds. That's insane. The only thing that concerns me, honestly, is he does not fit the trend of the early late way, because, again, 14 of the last 16 winners of this event went early Thursday, late Friday. He is going super late Thursday, super early Friday. But again, if I can get if Scheffler gets off to a slow start, or somebody gets off to a fast start in the morning wave, and his odds start creeping up in that 10 to 15 to 1 range, I would jump on in a heartbeat, right?
Yeah, and if there's ever a guy to buck a trend, you're talking about one of the top golfers in the world. I would say, we can make an exception for Scottie. And that's not picking at you. I do that all the time, man. Like, you get these guys or these teams, like the Patriots back when they were in their prime. Like, you never bet a team playing a third time against a division opponent. It's hard to win, yada yada. Man, throw all that out the window. Like, again, if you got a prime athlete or a prime team, the best of the best, they're above the rules from time to time. So never fear. Patrick Mahomes is another one. Never fear.
Yeah, like when he's down in the fourth quarter, I'll always go and look, what's the live odds right now? Can I get some plus odds?
If Scottie's balling, man, throw all that other nonsense out the window. Take your shot. But yeah, I'm with you. That's something we discuss on the show, and something I stand by. I don't want to take golf. Golf is a hard sport, man. Like, to take somebody at odds that you would get a 20-point dog in college basketball is just kind of ridiculous. So yeah, just hold on. Somebody will go up like 6 or 7 strokes before he even tees off, and his odds will be almost 9 to 1 or 10 to 1. You could take him at that time. Don't bet him at plus 550.
All right. So who is your lowest odd player you got this week?
Xander Schauffle. Now that I made these edits, and again, it's not that I'm not paying attention. I'm still looking through things myself, because there's a lot of people I've felt good about. But yes, me and Xander are near and dear. Xander's my highest single sport bet of all time winner. Back when I started early betting. So I've always been a Xander fan.
He's got a special place in your heart and your wallet, which is always good.
We haven't had actual wins a lot since then, but we've been top 20, top 10. We've been consistent. And so I think, we talk about around the green approach shots, and just having the ability to overcome some of these shots that might hit the rough and just comfort on the course. The ability to sink putts and avoid bogeys, which is huge. But as always, that water is going to come into play at some point. I know it is, man. I know it is. But I'm here. Xander 20-1 is my lowest odds.
All right. So for me, and I don't like this, but I do like what I've seen out of Justin Thomas here in recent weeks. I know.
You got it. You got it.
I know.
You got it.
Basically, what I'm looking for here is this is a venue he plays very well at. 6 of his last 8 appearances, he's finished T35 or better. He's got a win here. If you look at his recent form, it's really good. Much like Scheffler before last week, the bugaboo has been the putter, right? JT is another one of these guys, really good strokes gained around the greens, which I leaned heavily into this. He's 21st right now on tour in that metric. And I'm just looking at it that if he can have, kind of like, Scheffler did last week, just a good putting week. I know he's going to be in contention. If he has a great putting week like Scheffler did last week, he's got a really good chance to win. So I do like JT, as scary as that is. But my favorite play in this range, and he continues to actually go up, which I like even more. When I originally looked, he was 30-1. He is now all the way down or at 35-1, and that is Hideki Matsuyama. Hideki is built for this golf course, and he has proved it with his performances. He was 5th last year, got 3 top 10s here in his last 6 starts at this venue. And I mean, what do you want? You want a ball striker? Hideki. You want somebody who rarely makes big numbers? That's Hideki. And then that strokes gain around the green number, which again is such a big number for me this week. Like that's what I kept digging into over and over again because it helps you both on the par 5s and in scrambling and saving pars. Hideki is 3rd on the tour right now in that. So I like the fact that he's already got a win this year. I like the fact that you look at the Genesis, very difficult, venue. He won it. Arnold Palmer Bay Hill, very difficult venue. He finished 12th. Farmers Insurance Open at Torrey, another very difficult venue, finished 13th. I think Hideki has a real chance to win this week, and I think he's a value at 35-1. I wanted to check real quick if he was morning or late wave because I've been getting it mixed up because I've been looking so much at it. He is another guy. It's afternoon. So, again, it's not the end-all be-all. I don't want to make it seem like that, but 14 of the last 16 winners. So I would try to find some guys you like in the morning wave.
Yeah, so I don't have a problem with Hideki because, again, after that win at the Genesis, you're not going to get much on him. But I will say Justin Thomas at 22-1, based on how he's playing, he should be in that 35 range. If Hideki Matsuyama is 35-1, I'm looking at DraftKings right now. Hideki's 35-1. Then I mean, Justin Thomas should be darn near 40. Shane Lowry's 40-1, and he's had 2 top 5s in the last 2 events. So like again, it's the value for me that turns me off of Justin Thomas. Like it's like you're disrespecting me.
Yeah, but you say that. JT since January 18th, the Amex tough event 3rd, Pebble Beach 6th, Phoenix Open 12th. Granted, bad Genesis in last week 12th at the Bay Hill. I know he doesn't have the win that Hideki does, but that's a pretty good stretch of golf.
It's pretty good for him, yeah, considering how he's been playing lately. But I still think it's a little.
Tiger still was like, "Don't call me till you win something." Bitch.
Yeah, pretty much. That's how I am. But yeah, it's that would be my only knock is that.
I think that's fair concern. For sure.
Hideki was he was on my list, but I took him off. I had Morikawa on my list as well, but took him off as well. So. Usually when that happens, it's good for people who back those two because I can't ever get them right.
So in this price range, like I don't like basically anybody else. Like obviously Rory at 12-1, forget about it. Victor Hovland is chipping so bad right now. There's no way I'm picking up because last week was setting up for him. His around the green numbers have been awful this season after a huge improvement last year. But he went to a venue where he's really excelled and had his best strokes gained around the green numbers on courses with really firm greens, thick rough right off of it. And then he had like one of the worst weeks historically ever around the greens. So I can't do him Homa, again, another guy that's inflated, right? Like his odds are. I like Homa here. He's played really well, 13th and 6th the last 2 appearances, but 28 or 25 to 1. I'm not playing Cantley. The next 2 guys are the ones the next 3 guys are the ones I want to talk about. Morikawa, 28 to 1. Is that high enough odds for us to bet him, or is that different? You know, we have that rule that he reaches a certain odds and we have to play him in these big events because he actually does win.
He's on my list, but I didn't put him down. For him, it's literally the putter, which is funny because anybody else I'll make an exception for, but God, he's been so consistently, he's been so consistently bad with that putter when I need it the most. It really hurts me. But again, anytime we're talking about approach shots and around the green, those are key things that he's good at. Like, you're just at the mercy of him getting it within 7 to 8 feet every time he hits it. If he can do that, then he's going to win. If he can't do that in his current form, who knows, man? Who knows? So I think it's the right value for him because, again, it's just that one thing, which is something that we can't always predict, but you can overcome it, and that's the putt.
He wins too, right? Like a lot of these guys don't win often. Morikawa actually has a good bit of wins, and especially, again, for us, we really highlight him in big events when those odds start to creep up because he's won so many big tournaments in his short time in his career. All right, the next guy that I wanted to talk to you about, Willie Z. Your boy Willie Z's back, man. I love seeing it. You know he's using.
He's on my list. Obviously.
So I figured. He's using the lab putter, right? Like I don't know if I've talked totally about you. It's the Broom ugly putters. I have one of them. Because I actually know the guy that designs those actual putters. But this is going to be the test on whether or not he really has figured out his putting, which it looks like he has. Like it looks like it's solved to where instead of him being this huge negative number in putting and obviously gaining strokes everywhere else, it's not like he's killing it on the greens, but he's not like hemorrhaging strokes to the field anymore, which that's all he needs to do to consistently be in contention and win events. This venue, he has missed more putts inside 10 feet than any player that has played in the last 3 events at TPC Sawgrass. So that is the only concern I have about him, but I love his form, and he's another guy that I really like it when the course plays a little softer, especially those fairways, because that's when he rarely ever misses any fairways, and we know how good his iron game is. He's improved, obviously, his short game. He's improved his putting. And I think he's a real value because, he's down to 30 to 1. He was at 40 to 1 at one point this week. So people are obviously moving to him. What did you get him at?
I got him at 30 to 1.
So, yeah. Because I was pretty sure he was 40. Maybe it was Sunday. Maybe I was looking ahead. But I know it was either Sunday or Monday. He was all the way up at 40 to 1. And then the other guy in this range, Jordan Spieth. Any interest in Spieth?
No interest in Spieth because if there was one person that would hit the water for no reason, it's him. But he's incredible.
And then blame it on his caddy?
Yeah, for real. But he's incredible at just finding a way to overcome that kind of inconsistency. But here's the thing. On the current tour, those kind of inconsistencies keep you from winning because you got guys like Scottie Scheffler that can get hot at any time. And then you got guys like Jake Knapp who, comes out of nowhere and he can get hot. So there's so many streaky golfers now that I think somebody like Jordan Spieth who's been consistent, even if he hasn't been at his best, it's just not enough. He's got to reach that limit or that level where he's just like he's on the same kind of streak. Because remember, he used to get streaky with his putter and be dropping some really long ones, but we haven't seen that kind of stuff from him in a while, and I think that's why he hasn't won. And I'm looking for a winner. I hate to be Mike Singletary, but I'm looking for winners. I don't mind him in my DFS
playoffs,
but I don't think he's a winner. So I'm not too interested in him, but I did see him at that price range.
So the interesting thing about Spieth, or at least for me, what's intriguing is obviously he's in really good form. He's hitting the ball really well. What scares me, and you got into it, there's probably nobody at his level that could just blow up at any point quite like Spieth, and it just kind of shows he's never recovered from blowing that Masters when he had a chance to just literally grab the golfing world by the freaking balls and say, I am the guy. He doesn't have a great track record here, but two of his 3 made cuts at this event in the last 8 years have came since the change in 2019. He had his best finish in quite some time here in last year at 19th. And again, that morning afternoon number of 14 of the last 16, Jordan Spieth is teeing off at 8:35 on Thursday. That makes me want to consider him right there alone.
I'm looking, man. I'm looking for a reason. I can't find it. That's just me, man. Like Spieth and Thomas are on my in my doghouse, man. I'm mad at them.
I'm with you. I do. I expect more from him. It looked like Spieth was coming back, and you were the one that brought this up, and I think it was a very smart point last year that it just looks like he doesn't believe in himself anymore. And the more like late in an event he gets, and the tighter, back 9 on Sunday, he's right there in contention. I don't like his body, like his demeanor. I don't like his body language. I don't like, just anything. Like it just looks like he's in his head, and that's a terrible place to be for a professional golfer. All right, so I know you had Willie Z. Who is next on your betting board?
Sam Burns.
Oh yeah, I love this. You want to explain why?
Oh yeah, I thought it was self-explanatory, man. He's a stud golfer. I think he's one of the guys that I feel like he's just waiting to break through. And I don't think it's a mental thing. I just think it's him still learning what he's good at, what he can do, what he can't do, and trusting himself in some of that. Some of the nuances. Golf is such a mental game. Like again, you can look at people and tell how much of a toll it takes on them mentally. And I think Burns he's been playing really well, but he's again being a good golfer and being a winning golfer. From what I've seen in my gambling over the last like 6-7 years, there's a difference in those guys. There's a difference in guys who are good golfers and a difference in guys who know how to win by playing golf. And you hear the commentators and former players say it all the time. Like it takes something different to win, and guys have to learn how to win, learn how to close out on Sundays. I think it's coming together for Burns. He didn't do too bad last year at this event, I believe.
Back-to-back top 35s, which he's just started playing this venue.
I think to counter Scottie, it would be perfect for him to win.
A little kick in the nuts, kind of like last year at the match play.
I wish.
Another thing, again, I know I keep pounding this, but 14 of the last 16 winners. Sam Burns going off at, 8:24 on Thursday, so he will definitely fit the early-late trend. I really do, though. I like that play a lot. All right, for me, I do want to mention Russell Henley at 45-1. I feel like he's so due for a win. Like he's now been playing for about 16 to 18 months, just really consistent golf. And this is a course that occasionally we do kind of have a surprising winner. And Russell Henley is somebody that I definitely am interested in at 45-1. I don't know if I'm actually going to put him on a betting card, but I didn't want to mention him. The next person I got to mention, though, I got him at 55-1. He's down to 50-1. The Asian redneck himself, Alan, Minwoo Lee. I don't know how he pulls off that look actually he's Australian technically. He looks Asian and a little bit redneck with the mullet, the pencil thin mustache, but he did something really amazing at this venue last year, which it's easy to forget. This was his breakout event last year. This is kind of the first time he was on the grand stage, if you will, for professional golf. He finished 6th in his first start ever at TPC Sawgrass. And just, again, ball struck the course to death, gaining huge numbers, tee to green, ball striking, on approach. And it shows, obviously, this course fits his eye, which is a good thing.
He's a funny guy. I like him.
Oh, he's awesome. I love him. He just looks like somebody that doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, I Googled the picture because I hadn't paid attention to the mullet. Yeah. And everything is like, let him cook. And I just remember that trend and I was laughing. Like, he's a lot of fun.
And the process to grow a mullet it's got to be awful because I grew my hair out long a couple of times. There's some really tough phases. I couldn't imagine when you're keeping it, party in the front. Excuse me, business in the front, party in the back. A couple other things about Minwoo Lee that's to me just again, like what a value at the ranks he's at. He has 14 events since November between the DP World Tour and PGA Tour. He hadn't missed a cut yet. And again, for DFS, obviously 8,000, great value. I love the fact that I do feel that this could play a lot like the Cognizant because, as Alan mentioned, not a lot of wind, right? Like they're calling for very calm conditions. The fairways are going to be softer because it being in March, it's played not nearly as firm and fast. The scores have been lower. Minwoo Lee is a birdie machine. Minwoo Lee dominates par fives. And if he can just have a decent putting week, I expect him to be in contention. And, again, he got the runner-up finish at the Cognizant Classic. And he's won, recently, which is another reason that I think he's a value at 55 to 1. But I love Minwoo Lee at that number. Even at 50 to 1, I'm still like all over that.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to that either. And the only reason why he finished T6 last year is because he was 4 over in that last round.
Yep.
And he still finished T6. That lets you know how well he was playing.
And again, that was his first big event on the PGA Tour. So he was nervous. Like that happens. Yeah. Like he was probably freaking out. Yeah. And, unlike Jake Knapp, who did a great job of kind of steadying the ship, even though he didn't have his game, this is also not the course that you want to be nervous or not have your A game on because it can beat you up pretty bad. Who's next on your card?
I think that would be Shane Lowry. Yeah, because he's been playing pretty consistent.
Yes, he is.
And we just need him to remember how to win. but I think he'll be in contention. And his just short game right now is just on one. So that makes me very excited. And I'm sure he's got plenty of experience with this course, and he's done well on the Florida swing. And again, we don't have the weather elements, but if we did have the weather elements, I'd probably give him a boost because again, he's got the European background, and we love those guys when it's windy. European and Texas golfers are like your favorite,
and Australian.
Yeah, and Australian, they're your favorite wind guys.
Yep, completely agree. I like that, especially kind of lost, unfortunately for Lowry, and Scheffler just dusting the fields last week was. He got off to a little bit of a slow start, really corrected himself, played well down the stretch. Just unfortunately, Scheffler ran away with the event because he made all 15 putts inside of 15 feet on Sunday. So Lowry's another one of those guys that he does this where he just kind of comes out of nowhere every few years with a win. He is due, and I do like the fact that he is really trending in the right direction right now. All right, so kind of some long shots for me. Kind of, but kind of not. I'm going to just kind of fly through these, and then we'll do yours, and I guess we can get out of here. I do like 3 guys in the 90 to 110 range. Cam Davis, one event here, finished 6th. Another guy that came first year, did really well. What I like about it is Davis is somebody who struggles when it's hard to keep the ball on the fairway, but when he finds fairways, he plays really well. And last year, just like this year, with this event being March, with it being overseeded, fairways are soft, not a lot of rollout on your tee shots. He hits the ball really high off the tee. I think he's going to be able to find fairways, great putter, good around the greens, and a good ball striker, like especially with his irons. I think that's a value. Adam Hadwin, 90 to 1, another guy, the Canadian, who is in really good form. He's got a great history at this event, right? If nothing else, we love him just because he got fucking blasted at the Canadian Open.
He's one of my favorites. I like him.
Took that like a champ. So many people would have reacted so much different to that.
I mean, you get hit like that, ain't nothing you can do, man. You got
exactly. That's fair. That's fair. But I think Hadwin at 90 to 1, like him and Davis. What do we talk about? Or you talk about all the time? Getting guys before the win, right? Like being able to catch it before the win, because I could see either one of these guys winning an event this year, and then they're in that 40 to 50 range each week. And it's like, I don't really want to play them at those odds. And then the last one in this range, Eric Cole, 110 to 1. I know he's had a little bit.
I ain't messing with that dude.
Okay, I get it. I know he let you down a couple weeks ago, but he has had a little struggles. But this is the kind of course that sets up so well for Eric Cole. He's great around the greens. He's a great wedge player. He scrambles well, and he's another guy that where he has issues is when he can't find fairways. And I think the softer conditions are going to allow him to hit more fairways here. And he normally plays well. He's another guy in his first start, finished inside the top 20 here. And then one other guy, I'm sorry, I did want to mention, again, just for the disrespect, Matthew Pavin is 150 to 1. He's already won a difficult event, signature event this season and finished second in another one. He's 150 to 1. He's 18 to 1 to top 5, or excuse me, 22 to 1 to top 5 and 10 to 1 to top 10. I like all of those odds. Until he starts really struggling, I feel like he's a real value because, I mean, I know he played terrible Sunday, shot 80. He had a real bad day Sunday. But other than that, he's finished 30th or better in every event this year. So I'm getting a guy 150 to 1. And again, he should play well on these kind of courses that put emphasis on gaining strokes off the tee, which he does, gaining strokes on approach, which he does. And it takes a little bit of the emphasis off putting, which he went through that hot streak, obviously won and got the runner-up. But since then, his putting's kind of lacked a little bit. This is a course that kind of masks that if you play the par fives well, which he's done this year, and can just not make a lot of big numbers or bogeys.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to investing in him. I really think for one of my props, I'm gonna mess with him and Jake Knapp, one of the two, because again, they've been playing such great golf. And Pavin approach his strokes gained, approaching the green, putting, they're basically elite right now. And those are two attributes that no matter how difficult the course is, if you're good at those two things, you'll find yourself in a position to make some money. And I think those are guys that can make money for us.
Knapp kills par fives.
Yeah, I was
he has the link where he could hit probably hybrid off of some of these tees if he wanted to, and still have middle to short irons in. And I might need to reconsider that. Yeah, I might need to look at that.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's my angle for him is that I've watched him over I have this year I've kept a sheet, like one big sheet where I just go in week by week, that we do our picks. And I use it for scratch notes, like, not my official picks, but I'm just using it for scratch notes. And then there's another sheet where I write down my regular picks. And Knapp is on every week. Knapp is in my scratch notes. Like every week, it's like the name that stands out. So I'm like, well, if I'm considering him that much, and then he's played pretty decently, and again, we got par fives that are scoreable. That's something that you truly can lean on. Is par five scoring in situations where there's only a couple and they're easy to get a big number on. Like, definitely sign me up for that. So I'm gonna take a flyer on him. He's in my long shot at 150 to 1. Horschel at 130 to 1 is in my long shot as well. And again, they're so long. I'm not full anticipating, but I think Knapp is one of the guys that actually has a legitimate chance if he's hot. But I did actually put Jason Day in my official picks at 55 to 1. So you'll be happy to know that.
I am.
Yeah, I never picked Jason Day.
I'm a little disappointed that I didn't hear that, because there'd been one time that you didn't roll your eyes and sigh at me. You'd have been like, believe it or not, I also have Jason Day. Obviously, I like him. I had him in my DK plays, but it's also, I know I had Day last year when he won his event, but I feel like I've kind of been bad luck. You know how that goes. Like sometimes it's like when you're backing a guy, it seems like they just don't play well. And that's kind of been Day.
Aaron Rye.
We didn't even bring up. So, but he is somebody definitely to consider for DFS. I think he's like 6,400 this week. He's going early, great iron player. I think he could be a real value in DraftKings. I'm not sure about actually betting on him or anything. But I do like him in DK. Anything you want to plug or say before we get out of here?
No, just pray for me. Basketball it's a lot of work, man, for 2 weeks. And thank God I don't work for like a Duke or UNC, somebody that's going to go deep in the tournament. But, I'm hoping for one.
I think you'd be focusing a little bit more, though, just on that if it was like Duke or UNC, right?
I don't know. I mean, I've been really down on ACC basketball in the heart of ACC country. So, I don't know if I'm the guy that.
But they stink this year, right? Like the ACC is not good.
I think they do. And they're going to get 4 or 5 teams in the tournament, and I'm ready to riot because it's a disgrace. But we might have a little Cinderella, and I'm not saying this to plug it. I'm just letting you know that if you don't see me in the next couple of weeks, it's because March Madness is upon us, and I'll be back when that ends.
Well, we will miss you, but you got me going to the Braves home opener with a press pass. I'm good. So you can do whatever you want. Show up when you want to, buddy.
Your dad hates me.
He does. He's like, he was so mad. He's like, you're not even a Braves fan. I'm like, I'm not saying I'm a real Braves fan. It's my buddy. He's not your buddy. Get over it, Dad. So it's always good when you find something to argue with the old man about. Especially that we're getting to the age where now that he's in his 70s, like I might finally could take this motherfucker in a fist fight. Yeah, he's gonna kill me. He would kill me if he heard this. But be sure to check out all the great work on fantasy6pack.net. If you haven't, please subscribe to Fantasy Six Pack on YouTube. The fantasy baseball content on Fantasy Six Pack is elite. I'm not a big fantasy baseball guy. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not a big baseball guy in general. But a lot of great work. Like I've been paying attention to stuff that's been going up, some of the articles, a lot of good details and information. If you're doing fantasy baseball drafts, you're getting ready for that. And then again, me and Alan will be here, every Tuesday, or I'll be here every Tuesday. Hopefully Alan will be here most Tuesdays.
I'll try.
And the great news is to me, this is the beginning of the PGA season. Like we got the players next month, we got Augusta, and the way they have it set up, basically there's a major every month after March. And then you got the FedEx and then the President's Cup. So it's going to be fun. We just got to figure out the PGA Live deal because we got to get them back playing on a regular basis, or at least have them do a Ryder Cup type event between the two tours. Something fun for us to talk about. But we appreciate all of y'all listen to us. Again, I apologize. My article will be up probably tomorrow morning, but that will be available. And as always, you can hit me up on Twitter. And just DM me, and I'm happy to answer any golf questions or whatever, or if you don't see my article or anything like that, we try to respond as much as possible. But Alan, I really appreciate it. I hope you have a good evening. And for Two Off the Tee, we're out of here. Good luck at the Players, everybody. We'll see you.
Take care.
Yes, sir.